You're watching KSL News.
I was going to leave. I just started to leave. It's got 2 sticks gun, 30 kids, get out of here, have a fight. But words clear as a bell came to me and said, go back to the fence. There's something magic about candy coming out of the sky on a parachute.
Yes, I called it candy from heaven. It gave me hope, and hope is probably the best gift he could have given us at this time.
Good afternoon. We begin today with the passing of a true hero, World War II veteran Colonel Gail Halvorsen, affectionately known as a Berlin candy bomber.
Colonel Halvorsen died last night, surrounded by family at a Utah County hospital. He was 101 years old. Colonel Halvorsen picking up that beloved candy bomber moniker back in 1948 when he was a young U.S. Air Force pilot delivering humanitarian aid at the Berlin airlift. Well, he soon began dropping small handkerchief parachutes filled with treats and hope to children below. It was a selfless mission that kicked off a lifetime of service.
And right now, an abundance of tributes pouring in, not only from Utah, but really across the world. Team coverage for you tonight. We start things off with news specialist Jed Bull. He is at Hill Air Force Base, where the colonel had a great love for his fellow man and fellow airmen. Jed?
Also known as the Berlin candy bomber, flew a C-54 just like this one in World War II. This C-54 is painted to resemble the one that the candy bomber flew. And whenever Halvorsen was on base, they say that he was focused on meeting with the men and the women of today's Air Force.
Just a phenomenal individual, an incredible perspective on life.
Aaron Clark, director of Hill Aerospace Museum, met Halvorsen a decade ago.
The more I got to know him, the more I really started to love him, and he became one of my heroes.
As an American pilot right after World War II, Halvorsen's mission was to help supply Germans with humanitarian aid.
He took an approach of compassion and love to someone who was just enemy just a couple years prior. And so instead of holding any animosity, he provided them hope. He provided them compassion.
Dropping chocolate bars for children on his own initiative. Whenever Halvorsen was on base, the younger airmen came first.
He wanted to hear their stories, and he wanted to thank them for their service. So that said a lot about that man. He wasn't about gratification of his own, his own personality or his own endeavors. It was all about the airmen.
A few years ago, when the retired colonel was visiting, Clark made a reservation for him at a very nice hotel.
Because we want to take care of him. He's the candy bomber. But when we brought him to that hotel, he says, I don't want to stay here. I want to stay with my airmen on base.
When Halvorsen last visited, they took him to check out the F-35s and introduced him to the demo team.
He was engaged, very engaged.
Always most interested in finding out what was going on with the Air Force.
It was just phenomenal to see that experience, that interaction, and his love and appreciation for his airmen.
Halvorsen always considered a legend and Air Force treasure here at Hill Air Force Base. For KSL 5 News, I'm Jed Bull.